First of all, Grant and I weren't really looking to do Catch-22. It's a beloved novel, and if you Google it in the United States, it would say one of the 10 greatest novels in American history. So it's a daunting idea. Luke and David wrote 6 great episodes, and they sent them to us, and we felt as if now we're going to have to do it, because quite honestly, you guys do this for a living, we do too. You don't get to read a lot of very good material quite often. I think you all have the same experience. So we just decided we wanted to do it. We knew that the Mike Nichols film, I remembered it. I hadn't read the book, in 40-some years. It is a seminal, it was a very, it had great resonance for me when I was a young man. It was about the absurdity of war, of course, which is timeless. It's also about bucking the system, which I think still is also very timeless. It's the idea that we can't, you can fight as much as you want, but it's really hard to beat the system if it's up against you. And those were themes that felt timeless and felt like you can visit those over and over again. We didn't want to redo the movie because, quite honestly, the movie's a very different story and was made in a very different time. Television actually affords us the ability to tell this story over a long period of time, get to know the characters before we kill them in horrible ways. So, in general, this was the perfect format for us to be able to tell the story. Well, it's a sort of long roundabout way of saying, I'm not going to get into politics. It doesn't seem like a very logical place for me to be able to apply what skills I have. I don't have to make compromises in the things that I stand up for and the things I believe in, and politicians do. So it's not something that interests me. Yes, it's a very nervous time around the world. There's an awful lot of people sliding into authoritarianism, and it's nerve-wracking, and it's something that we should constantly monitor. And all of you who are in the press do a very good job of that, and it's important. I happen to be an optimist, and I think that things turn around as they do, and I think that's something that is overdue, and will sort of hopefully head that way in the next election cycle. But the story, to me, and getting back to the show, again, this was written about World War II during the Korean conflict in the United States, and came out during the Vietnam War. It has been timeless, and it has been a satire on war. Some of it about the diplomacy of war, some of it about the profiteering of war. All of those things. Again, we felt like it's a really good time we feel like there's never a bad time to argue about these things, and that's why we thought it was a good time to do it. I think that one last bit I would say is, I think that David and Luke found a way to unravel a very complicated novel. And this was not an easy, it's not an easy read if you go back and read it. And they found a way to make it really show it all through Yossarian's eyes, and that's just sort of the way of showing the insanity that you were just talking about. I've worked on, I've done fundraisers and things for natural disasters. We did one in Abruzzo, actually. Whatever way we can shine the spotlight, I think everybody on this panel feels the same way. But whatever way we can bring a spotlight, we don't make policies, so we can't fix some of the unnatural disasters that you're talking about. But we certainly can shine a light on things that we think are disturbing, and that's the best thing I think any of us are able to do, and probably the thing that we should spend most of our time doing. I think in the United States they don't, since it's an all-volunteer army, there's a draft. Not all of the American experience pays much attention to the fact that we're still in Afghanistan, for instance. So yes, I think that we do lose track of the fact that we were still putting people in harm's way. When we did ER, which I'm very proud of, and it was an enormous hit, television was just starting to change. The Sopranos had just come on HBO, and suddenly there was quality. There was the ability to do things very at the same level that feature films were allowed to. The language, the nudity, the violence, all those kind of things. In the last 5 or 6 years, television has really opened up the doors, or television or streaming has really changed the way filmmakers, for instance, and actors are given a lot of really great opportunities now. So, for instance, when Grant and I did Good Night and Good Luck, we did that at Warner Brothers for $6.5 million. We wouldn't be able to do that at Warner Brothers now because, you know, it's a harder place to make low budget and mid-range films. But the streaming services are willing to do it. So the good news is that there's room for everybody, and the streaming services have really helped a lot of the storytelling, the kind of stories that Grant and I have liked to tell over the years. So it's good. It's all good news.